Hello there, Caesar here for another collaboration video. And the topic is going to be scariest experience out backpacking or out in the outdoors. As before, I'll put a link in the description below to my fellow collaborators. You should definitely check out their channels, subscribe, check out their videos. I really enjoyed myself last time, in spite of being the oddball out who does one shot, one take type videos, no editing at all, and I talk way too much, and it was way longer than everybody else's, but it was really cool. I liked the experience, right? And I got introduced to some very cool channels. So check them out. This time it's going to be Paul and Andy and Darwin and Jacob. John's going to sit this one out. He's a little bit busy preparing for the PCT, which is understandable. A lot of work and planning. Okay, so this was another hard one. I've been doing this, as I said in my last video, for over 20 years now, and I'm not the macho type guy to, not admit that I've gotten scared. I've gotten scared quite a lot. The fight or flight reflex is a real, undeniable part of the human condition, and going out and going on adventures and, even pushing your limits, right, out there on your own in the middle of nowhere, especially, can be a little bit nerve-wracking, right? And there are other variables out there like animals and, accidents and bad weather and etc. So I decided to talk about 3 times I was scared in my recent memory. And I'll start with one that was fairly mundane, that, I didn't think I would be afraid, but all of a sudden, fear hit me like a ton of bricks. Now, disclaimer, I'm experienced, as I just mentioned, right? I've been doing this for some time. I try to be as careful as I can, and I know my limitations, and I, make sure not to do anything reckless, overtly reckless or anything like that, right? That being said, because I have, been doing this for some time, I do, certain things. I'm about to tell a story about climbing up the side of a cliff, right? Obviously, that's not for everybody, right? So you've been warned. Do not try dangerous things unless you are uh, properly trained, experienced, prepared, etc. Okay, so I'm climbing up the side of a cliff, and it's a cliff that I've climbed up several times before. Nothing crazy here. I'm not talking about a sheer, stone face, right? It's a very like rugged, kind of jagged cliff here in Sweden, in the middle of the woods, in the middle of nowhere, and there are like plenty of like little teeny plateaus where you can kind of like take a break and walk maybe a few meters and then kind of continue, right? And it's maybe 20 meters, maybe 20, 30 meter, you know, drop, right? So enough to probably kill me if I would have fallen, uh, but yeah. And I've been there before, and I knew my way around, and I have a rope, and I'm being careful. And I want to get to this great campsite. And here's the thing: the sun is setting. It's getting late. I've been, off trail bushwhacking for some time now, and I want to get to this campsite. Problem: one huge pine tree has fallen in my path, and I hadn't seen it. Otherwise, I probably would have gone around to begin with. But it's kind of like the way the cliff is positioned. I was not able to see it, right? So I have to decide now. I have to make a snap judgment. Do I go back, climbing down the cliff, go all the way around? That's going to take me a lot of time. I'm tired and it's late. Uh, or, the sun's setting. Do I just, carefully climb over this tree? Yeah. So I decided to carefully climb over the tree. And everything was going well up until I neglected to notice that the tree had actually it was a bit wet because for those of you that are familiar with Scandinavian terrain, there's tons of water everywhere, but it was a dry day. It wasn't raining or anything. But here's the thing: on these cliffs there are cracks in the stone, and water will run on these cracks, and even every now and then there's like a small pool of water that's collected, right? So what had happened is this tree had acted like not like a sponge, but like a, there's a better word for this. Uh, it was like the bit of water that was on the cracks of the cliff had found the tree and kept the tree kind of moist. So I'm climbing around it and I slip, and it was one of those moments where everything went in slow motion, because on this big pine tree there are plenty of jagged, you know, branches like in the fall, and they're like very sharp, pointy branches. And my torso is headed straight for this jagged piece that I was trying to avoid. And I did I didn't even think about it. I did something instinctual. I saw it and I hit it as hard as I could with the palm of my hand. And I broke it. In the process, I got a gash on my hand. It was, it wasn't too bad. I had to stop I did a little bit of first aid and I was fine. But had I not mashed this, like, basically spear, right, it would have impaled me. And I was in the middle of nowhere, and that would have been bad news, right? So that taught me to, be extra careful, right? It's not like I was being reckless, right? But there's certain little things like that you always need to be aware of. I had not stopped to consider, hey, wait a minute, maybe it could be moist. I just assumed, hey, it's not raining. It was actually a pretty sunny, dry day that day. And yeah. Story number two, I can tell much quicker, right? And it's funny because it happened in the same area, doing the same type of backpacking, which is bushwhacking, right? I'm not following any kind of mark trail or anything. There's periods where I get more into off-trail bushwhacking type adventures, and then there's periods when I really want to finish a trail, right? I find that it usually goes like in phases, right? I like them both, right? For different reasons. But anyway, so yeah, same area, middle of nowhere that I'd been to before and I wanted to continually explore. I had my favorite spots, but it's a big area. So I decided I'm going to sleep in a cave, because why not? That's a cool thing to do, sleeping in a small cave, right? So I find a small cave, I sleep inside, got a great night's sleep. I even had a little fire at the foot of the cave to, like, warm up the entrance, right? I mean, obviously I didn't have it very close. It was far enough away that the smoke would not get in the cave or anything, but just so the heat would reflect off on the stone and kind of into the cave. It was awesome. In the morning, I wake up and I break out my cook kit, and I get everything for breakfast and all that, and I'm enjoying the nice weather, and I'm eating my oatmeal, and all of a sudden I see something kind of brown, and the first thing I think is that a dog, right? And it's about, oh, I don't know, like 5-6 meters away. It's like right around the corner from like the hill where this like the cave is. It's like it pops out, and we both kind of like surprised each other. It's a boar. It's a wild boar. And I mean, I can see it into his eyes. I can see the hairs on the boar, And we both are afraid. It turns, and I turn, and I just decide I'll scream, and I get up and I make myself big, and I scream, and it ran away, and that was it. But yeah, I definitely, after that, my heart was pounding, because yeah, that was the closest encounter I've ever had with a wild boar. But yeah, looks like my time's running out. I said I was going to keep it under 5 minutes. I'll keep it under 10 minutes. Yeah, I'll skip the last story because there's plenty of stories where I've gotten scared. But that's the two off the top of my head of many, right? Be safe out there, right? And check out the other channels. All right, another fun collaboration. Take care out there. Happy trails. Goodbye.